Toparena! Hey, Christian in the house! Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Hydra rebalance that Plarium told us that's going to happen this morning. So, let's watch the video they made explaining everything they're going to do, and let's take our conclusions about it. Let's go. Let's watch it together.
Hey everyone, we've got a different kind of update preview for you today. We're showing off some balance changes coming to the Hydra and a few other areas of the game. Along the way, we'll explain why we're making these changes, but here's a quick overview. The current meta is way too limiting to players who don't have specific champions in their collection. We want you to experiment with different tactics and teams, switching things up each week. Let's dive in and take a closer look at what's coming. First up, we're setting the turn limit at 1,000 turns.
That's really good.
Auto-battling the Hydra
That's a good
easily
team.
take over an hour. So we're aiming to cut down the time by at least half an hour. You'll now need to build teams that do damage faster, rather than teams built for a war of attrition. With a few adjustments, you'll have no problem reaching the damage numbers needed to get your usual rewards. Moving on, we're changing how the Serpent's Will buff works. Most importantly, and brace yourselves folks, it now reduces damage by 100% for a newly grown Hydra.
Really bad.
Yep, you read that right. Complete damage reduction.
Really bad.
You won't be able to nuke a newly grown head straight out of the gate anymore. Hold on though, there's good news too. If two heads regrow at the same time, only one of them will get the Serpent's Will buff. Champions have gotten stronger since the Hydra initially reared its heads. What with Awakening, Empowerment, and mythical champions joining the fray. We were seeing Hydra heads nuked as soon as they rejoined the battle, even with the 75% damage reduction. So, to make the fight even, and bring back some of the challenge that's been lost due to the game's evolution, the Hydra is getting a little stronger too. We're also making changes to Digestion and Devouring.
That will nerf a lot of
how
champions.
late on in the battle your champions start getting digested on a 2-turn countdown? Well, for every subsequent time they get digested after that first 2-turn countdown, the damage you'll need to do to free your champion increases. Like with Serpent's Will, Digestion
Hydra is getting harder.
Lost much of its intended challenge over time as more powerful champions and features were introduced. It was always meant to be one of the Hydra's key mechanics and an ever-present threat. But it became really easy to rescue allies that were being digested. So, we're bringing that fear back into Digestion. Taunts won't help anymore either. The Hydra has shed its thin skin, and petty insults will no longer distract it from a delicious champion meal sat right in front of it.
Massive nerf to taunt.
Once a champion receives the mark of the Hydra
No more
debuff,
PvE use.
they become public enemy number 1. And Taunt isn't going to do anything about it. Taunt
Massive.
is a cool mechanic, but new champion combinations emerged that could totally negate the mark of the Hydra. Less cool. It's not all bad news though. Your team's AI will now prioritize attacking the head that is digesting.
Oh, that should be
an auto battle.
there for forever.
Makes the dream work. Exposed necks are also getting a rework. From now on, exposed necks will have a set HP value that is double the original head's HP. Once that value reaches 0, the head will immediately regrow. With constantly regrowing Hydra heads, you'll need to think on your feet and have tactics in place for all potential scenarios.
Very bad, because now your damage overall,
but the changes don't stop there.
your damage overall is going to drop a lot, because you cannot put speed down anymore on the Hydra and keep nuking the Hydra head that's already been killed, because now you don't even need decrease speed anymore probably, because it's going to take longer for the normal Hydra heads that are alive and with the serpent's skin buff that will take no damage to take a turn, and it doesn't matter for the dead heads anymore. So probably decrease speed is now a debuff that's not really good on Hydra anymore. Not to talk about all the other things that are being shown here. We're gonna talk about them later.
There. We've got a few more lined up to help keep things balanced, starting with shields. Shields will now receive a cap of 1 million points.
Goodbye week 12
This cap is separate for
strategies.
shields placed by artifacts and shields placed by skills though. So you could get up to 2 million points of shield. These caps are still big enough to ensure powerful builds remain viable for taking on the Demon Lord and the Hydra, but they'll not be as game-breaking as before. And lastly, we come to everyone's favorite dwarven warrior herself, Trunda Guilt Mallet. Don't worry, we're not nerfing her into oblivion. We're
Yes,
just
you are.
rebalancing some of her skills to keep her damage numbers in Hydra battles more reasonable. Starting with her default skill, Golden Mallet, Trunda will now have a 50% chance to place a stun debuff on both hits. A little upgrade, but a neat one for PvP. Trunda's second skill, Cloak of Ages, will now ignore 50% of each target's defense on her second hit. However, the caveat here is that it will only ever be a normal hit. It's still big damage, but it won't be quite as astronomical as they have been before. Forge Rhythm, Trunda's third
Don't
skill,
know if that's
now places
good.
consistent HP burn debuffs.
For Hydra,
and
it's
both
totally...
hits from this skill deal 50% more damage to enemies under a stone skin shield. Another neat boost to her overall kit. And finally, her passive skill now increases Trunda's attack by 5% for each stun or HP burn debuff she places on enemies. Her speed will still be increased as well, both by stun and HP burn debuffs. All in all,
Okay, they totally take the Trunda superiority out of the Hydra and are trying to put a little bit of enlightenment on her for PvP content, but I think it's not enough. If 100% more damage from the blessing that we got is not enough to do damage on the Stone Skin Shield, 60% won't do much. So you're gonna have to have both to maybe do some damage to the shield, and then you need to nuke the champion. I don't think you're gonna have enough damage to break the Stone Skin and nuke the champions in the same skill. So she continues to be really bad on arena, probably, if that's the strategy with the A3, and she's totally killed on the Hydra about her superiority. She can do damage, but damage that any other champion can do.
Trunda isn't going anywhere. We still expect her to be an excellent choice for Hydra battles and the arena. We tested a ton of early, mid, and late game champion rosters and team compositions when making these changes. Our results showed things will get better. You'll still be able to earn Hydra chests and milestone rewards in Hydra Clash. And you'll spend less time fighting the Hydra each week. As always, we'll be keeping an eye.
Yeah, you used to be able. A composition that done 120 billion is going to do a 250,000 damage. Whoa. Whoa. The strongest comp is not this way. Imagine the others.
Eye on your feedback and monitoring game data to see how these changes affect Hydra battles overall. We hope this preview has been useful for you and will help you prepare for more battles against the Hydra. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Like the video. Are you kidding me? Like the video. For these, I cannot like. I cannot. Sorry, but that's the truth. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in a clear way. Really clear way. So, what have Plarium done here? How can I say that? If you want to rebalance a team because something is doing a lot more damage than the other comps, if Trunda is doing a lot more damage than the other comps, you have two options, three options. Or you're gonna nerf everything, the mechanics and everything, that's what they done. That's a negative impulse, you know. Everything is brought down to low amount of damage, more difficult, and things like that. You had the second option, that's nerfing Trunda itself, and they done that too, because they nerfed the champion itself. They tried to make a compensation, giving her some slightly enlightenment on the arena, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough. It's gonna need testing before tell you that's nothing good, but I don't think it's enough just by seeing it. So the third option, and clearly the best option, should buff other champions so they can compete with the damage of the Trunda. You don't need to bring some equality, to bring things down. You can put things up. Instead of bringing everybody down, you should push other people to have good results. You know, if many other champions could do amazing damage, many other people could compete with Trunda without messing up with the teams that already exist, and people invested so much time, money, resource, effort on them. So this is not a massive nerf to the pay-to-win community. This is also a massive nerf to the free-to-play community, because the accessible teams that you had with Wixwell and the entire Hydra mechanic, it will get a lot harder. A lot harder. If you're struggling to do the minimum damage, you won't even reach half of it. Now, half of it. So, if the goal is to bring happiness to the community, they succeed into not doing it. Because I don't think that's a choice that will put either the free-to-play community and the P2A community happy. Neither of them will be happy. For sure. What they could have done, a way simple that would make that a lot better. Bring back Cadaver. Revert the nerf that they did to him. Because right now, with Cadaver and Lennox, Cadaver is a rare champion. Lennox is a legendary champion that you can get from the store. With these two together, you have the Cadaver comp. And the third piece to make a Cadaver comp, it would be Wixwell, Bambus, or Brogni. These three champions were free-to-play champions. With these three champions, you could do billions of damage using a rare, and two, a free Lego, and a free fusion. That would make massive difference to the free-to-play community. It would bring another team that can even be more powerful than the Trunda team to the game, just by reverting a simple nerf that they did. Everything that was the problem of the superiority of a single champion and a single comp would be surpassed by the other comps emerging. And not only that, they could buff another champion so they do very, very high damage, and more people would have compositions that do a lot of damage. You don't need to bring everybody down so everybody can feel happy. That it not works this way. Bringing everybody to a low amount of damage, a more effort needed, you made everybody unhappy. Everybody unhappy. I think that their shot backfired in this aspect. Hydra right now somehow is gonna be a dead content like Clan Boss for the mid to the end game. You know, because once you get Mitrala, once your clan has all the gold stars that they need, or if you don't care to the gold stars anymore, you don't need to do high damages on the Hydra Clash anymore. You don't need. Because the stones and the protection sets, you can get just doing the minimal damages and things like that. You don't need to put much effort into pursuing bigger numbers that we used to do it, because there's no point in it anymore. If you do not add something new, a new resource, a trophy or something to the Hydra, so people can chase and make their effort compensate, Hydra is going to slowly go to oblivion as a boring content. Even more. Even more. It was already boring, but there was some sort of competition to do big damage and things like that. That will be a lot boring now. So, not only they made the Hydra state hard to beat now for the free-to-play and the early game stages, but they also made it boring to the highest stages. You know, you don't need big damage anymore. You are not competing for not anymore. You can get them for a lot, with a lot less effort. So Hydra is going to become a content that you're gonna set up a team, put on auto, and wait for the minimum damage for the chests are there, because you don't want to win anything because there's no prize worth of it. Not worth investments on new champions and things like that. And we did a lot of investments for the Trunda teams. What's really bad in the general view of the game development, at my opinion. So, what do you guys think about it? But before we go, let's take a deep look into the change on the images. Here we got the Hydra rebalance images. The turn limit, it was something good. We didn't need that amount of turns. The damage would gradually go low if you take away that much turns. Yes, it's good, because it would keep the things at the same way, but less time spending. The mark of the Hydra. Come on. Not being able to use taunt anymore to make the Hydra not eat your champions, and increasing the damage you're gonna need to free your champions from the Hydra when they are getting digested. It will make it so much harder for lower level accounts, beginners, and people that does not have all the components to do a strong team now, because as much as the fight goes on, it will become harder and harder and harder and harder until you get fully devoured or killed by the Hydra because you don't have champions anymore. That really sucks. A game mechanic that you're beating in the end every time sucks. The goal to the game, every game, is to beat the content, not to be beaten by it every time you play it. That sucks. The threat escalation that we're talking about, the extra damage the Hydra is getting, and things like that here. Come on. Even more difficult that we don't need. We don't need that. That's not funny. The decapitation's head now having a maximum amount of damage that they can take. They're just capping your damage, making it harder to do. Before, you could slow down the head with decreased speed and make a lot of damage upon the dead head, the decapitated head. But now you have twice the normal HP as maximum damage, and after that the Hydra heads respawn immune to damage. So you not only cannot kill it, she will have her turn, and she's strong now. And when you kill it, you can't do much damage on her. All the damage is being capped. Not only for Trunda, for everybody. And not to even talk about the direct nerfs to X12 comps. The Serpent Wheel, come on, 100%. The heads, we're going to wait for the heads to have a turn. If you have 30 turns in front of them with doing 0 damage, it's only gonna increase your turn limit without doing damage. How that's good? How that's good? How that's a good mechanic? Come on, every content, the goal is to beat the content, not to be beat by it in the end. The shield mechanic. Putting a cap on these destroyed every shield mechanic. Destroyed, because they are not going to be worth anymore. And without, they can even do damage. But without the taunt mechanic, you won't survive to grow the shield and do damage, grow the shield and do damage many times. You won't survive. You're going to get devoured and the comp is going to fail. So it was a total nerf to the Wixwell compositions. It needs to be tested, yes, it needs. But it's going to be so troublesome to might have some work that I don't think it's gonna be worth. And last but not less important, Trunda rebalance, buff, nerf at the same time. She was capped on the second part of her damage. Maybe some because it cannot be critical anymore. So really bad for PvE content, Hydra and things like that. She will lose all the damage she could do. And it can work. It can work on the PvP, but I don't think it will be that good. At least at first sight. We need to test. We really need to test to have a solid opinion about it. The A3, I don't think this 50% more damage to the Stone Skin Shield will be enough to bring down the Stone Skin Shields. We're gonna need to test it. Maybe with the help of the blessing that's do more damage to the Stone Skin Shield. Maybe putting them together, this skill and the blessing, it's enough damage. We're gonna need to test. But usually I don't think she fits in the meta at the same time, even with this buff on the PvP, and she's totally killed for the PvE content that she used to do. Maybe you can use her now on Faction Wars and be happy with your 6-star that you spent a lot of resources to get. So in general, I think they did a very bad choice. Very bad choice. Instead of making at least one part of the community happy, they made both parts of community unhappy, probably. The only people who will be happy is the people that hate the other people, because they will be happy because the whales lost a lot of resources trying to chase Trunda and now she's nerfed. These are the only people that will be happy, the envy people, and that's not safe. That's not healthy for the game community at all. Again, I will say it again. If you want to change some mechanic, do not put a negative impulse into it. Do not nerf a thing so other things happen. No. Why don't you buff other things so they can be at the same level? If you have a very high damage level for one team and the others are very low, bring the others to the same or close to it. Do not bring everybody down. That's not good. That does not bring happiness, neither to the community, neither to the players, neither to anything. My general thoughts about this nerf, rebalance, or whatever you call it, I can express with just a song. The truth is, free-to-play players want Trunda to be nerfed. Okay, fair. She didn't need to be nerfed. All the champions needed to be buffed. That's the truth. But what really happens is, all the whales out there, the massive community that spends money into the game, already had plenty of Trunda teams. Plenty. So they were not investing anymore into Hydra. So you need to destroy Trunda, put another team to people chase after so they can spend more. That's the truth behind this rebalance. That's the truth behind this rebalance. I think it's not a good move. It's not a good move. They could make the community happy in so many other ways. You know, if you buff champions, many people would have strong compositions that can do a lot of damage instead of bringing everybody to do low amount of damage. So, at my opinion, that was a freaky show of a rebalance. You know, I don't think that's a good way of game development. And they won't they won't listen to anything that we talk about it. They will just put this into the game and we're gonna have to adapt it to it. We're gonna adapt it to it. We're gonna find another composition. Instead of a legendary champion being the top of the damage, we're gonna have mythical champions that are gonna be top of the damage. So I think the gap will stay there, just with a new cloth in it. So guys, that's it about this Hydra rebalance. I don't like this kind of video. I don't like doing it. So probably that's the last time that I'm gonna do a video commenting something that's happening into the game. To get news, you can just read the news and take your own evaluations about it. And if you want to ask anyone's opinion, you can ask directly to the person. I prefer to do videos that are informative instead of complaining videos to just farm views. That's not the goal with content creation, at least in my opinion. But I'm sad about this rebalance, and somehow I wanted to share a little bit of sad moment until I find another comp to have fun. See you guys, see you next time, and as always, if you like this kind of content, do not forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with more soon.
It's all about arena.